Right, make sure we got everything loaded up here before we start our afternoon update here in the TristateWx Weather Center. Making sure everything's running here, and then I'll get started. Alright, so this is our afternoon update from the TristateWx Weather Center. So it is about 1:45 here in the afternoon. Still remains dry here in the metro area. We'll kind of break that down here in a minute on why that's occurring. But we'll take a look at the latest advisories that are in effect. So the advisory for Wayne, Edwards, and Wabash County was canceled early. The advisory still remains in effect till 6 a.m. Sunday for Clay, Richland, and Lawrence County. Then also until 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Sunday for Knox County. Again, like I mentioned in our morning update, I expect these probably to be canceled early. So far, a lot of dry air has been in place, so a lot of the precipitation that's been moving into this dry air has pretty much been eroded, ate away. Again, we're still waiting for the atmosphere to saturate here in Evansville, so that's why we haven't really seen much in the way of precipitation. So we talked about this morning as well, temperature and dew point depression. So 5-degree depression or less represents saturation of the atmosphere. You can still see we're double digits, even 20 to even 30 degrees temperature dew point difference between the two. So that represents pretty much shows me that there's very dry air still in place here across the tri-state. So a lot of that precipitation that's been trying to push into southwest Indiana and western Kentucky, it's all evaporating before it gets here. Most of the precipitation has been confined to southern Illinois, pretty much along and west of I-57. Plenty of snow in the St. Louis metro area. Did have a little bit of snow up in Clay County, up in Flora, and the Olney area. But again, a lot of dry air in place. That's kind of pretty much eating away at any moisture that's trying to push into that dry air mass. Not only is it the cold air mass that's dry, it also involves the track of the area of low pressure, kind of getting that east to southeast wind off the slope of the Appalachian Mountains. That helps drive drier air into the tri-state, even puts in a dry slot here in the tri-state. So that's really why there's really not much going on here in Evansville, even up towards Indianapolis. A lot of forecast up there called for a lot of accumulating snow up in that area. That forecast really isn't turning out for those folks up there either, because that dry air continues to dominate the area right now. So we'll take a look at the current radar. A lot of these brighter returns, these orange and reds that you see off to the west here, that's sleet. So it's picking up those pellets. The radar beam is hitting off those pellets, so it gives us that brighter return. So that kind of helps us in identifying where that sleet's occurring. Pretty much across the tri-state, we're dealing mostly with just a rain-sleet mix. I know down at Paducah, they actually just had a rain-sleet mix reported at the Weather Service office there, and it's 47 degrees right now. So that temperature dew point depression also plays a role in those what type of precipitation we're seeing. So you will have a brief period of sleet anywhere across the tri-state, and then eventually see that transition over to rain. I think the greatest threat for any sleet here, as far as accumulation wise, would be up along our US 50 counties across Clay, Richland, and Lawrence County. But again, temperatures are well above freezing across the tri-state right now, so it's going to be difficult to see any accumulation on roadways. You know, mostly it's going to be confined to grassy areas, especially if the precipitation rates are heavy enough. Overall, I expect most of this to melt and dissipate. Again, accumulations, like I mentioned, the past couple days was an inch or less up there in Clay, Richland, and Lawrence County, and maybe even Knox County. I don't even think they're going to achieve that, so the less is going to be more the accurate forecast than the inch or less. So that's kind of where we're at right now with current conditions. Let's go ahead and we'll take a look at some of our meso-analysis. I'm going to kick some products off here, so bear with me for 1 second. It's just part of doing all this live right now. So we'll take a look at temperatures aloft, and we'll pause that. Right now it's in motion, so we don't really want to do that. So these are temperatures at 850 millibars, so about 10,000 feet off the surface. And you can see pretty much with the light blues here, that's where you have temperatures below freezing. To the south, you kind of have the green light blue. That's where our temperatures are at freezing or above freezing. So again, this is about 5,000 feet off the surface. You can see pretty much here across southern Illinois, most of our temperatures are below freezing. If we go to Madisonville or Greenville or even down in Paducah, we got temperatures hovering near freezing. So we still have that layer in there at about 5,000 feet that will cause that precipitation to melt as it moves through that layer. If we take a look at our 700 millibar temperatures, that's where we're at 10,000 feet. You can see with temperatures still up into the 20s across southwest Indiana, but we have a solid area of dry air here, so nothing's going to come through that layer in the tri-state. But even off to the west, we still have temperatures in the mid to upper 20s. So we still have cold air aloft at about 10,000 feet. Then we have that shallow warm layer that will pretty much melt those snowflakes as they push through. And then that little thin layer of freezing air where we're getting that sleet to transition over. But overall, for the forecast, it's going to remain windy. Still going to see some rain and sleet eventually work into southwest Indiana and western Kentucky as that dry air starts to work out of the tri-state. Let's switch it back over to radar and we'll put it into motion, and you can see how things have evolved over the past hour or so. We'll wait for that to load up real quick, and I'll also put surface temperatures back up there. But again, 30s, upper 30s to mid 40s across the tri-state. You can see that precipitation trying to work towards the Wabash River. Again, some of these brighter oranges and reds, we did have a pretty solid area push into Wayne County, which is right here earlier, and you can see how that pretty much just dried up as it hit that dry air. So pretty much as this precipitation moves into that dry shield, we'll see the atmosphere start to saturate. Eventually, we'll start to see some of that precipitation fall. If you've been out and about, I've been out and about today, you can kind of notice some like wispy little tails coming down from the clouds. That kind of represents some of that precipitation that's trying to fall, but once it reaches dry air, it becomes virga. So virga is pretty much precipitation that evaporates before it reaches the surface. You'll see that this afternoon, especially as you have precipitation trying to fall through that dry air. All that precipitation would just evaporate before it makes it to the surface. So again, not expecting any impacts across our immediate tri-state tonight. Not really too concerned about accumulations or anything. We will still see some sleet mix in with the rain. Maybe a few flakes of snow off across our northwestern counties, but with temperatures well above freezing there, I don't think we're going to deal with any issues up there either. Most of the issues continue to be across central Illinois and northern Indiana, not so much central Indiana. Central Indiana is dealing with this dry air as well, so it's pretty much eating into all the snow that was supposed to fall across central Indiana, but that's not a surprise. That's kind of what we expected on our forecast end, and so far our forecast here for the tri-state remains on track, with mostly everything transitioning now from sleet to rain, and eventually everything will be rain tonight. Again, we're still keeping an eye on the system for Monday night into Tuesday. What we have to wait for now is the current snow to start winding down and to get that data into the system too. We do have a very large snowpack off to our northwest. I know portions of St. Louis and some areas around St. Louis have picked up 7 to 8 inches of snow. Across central Illinois, kind of the same thing, between 5 and 8 inches of snow. So we will have a snowpack set up off to our north. So moisture might not be as big as a concern as it was with this system. And then we do kind of have 2 areas of low pressure that we'll either see them phase together or not phase together. That's going to make a big difference on how much snow and what type of precipitation we see Monday night into Tuesday. But there is the potential for some travel impacts Tuesday morning as we head to work and school. But we'll keep an eye on that system. We're going to stay focused on this system right now. We'll start breaking down that system tomorrow, and then we'll have updates on that system as well tonight as we start seeing some of that snowpack and those temperatures kind of get ingested into the model runs. That will kind of give us a better idea of what to expect. So that's the latest from the TristateWx Weather Center. We'll have the live stream radar up and running, and then we'll provide updates through the afternoon. Again, pretty much a large area of rain and sleet coming towards the tri-state. Temperatures are well above freezing, so not expecting any impacts. So don't be afraid, or don't be surprised if you see sleet coming down with the rain. It's not hail, it's sleet. So you're not going to see anything gigantic or huge coming out of the sky as far as hail. It's all sleet. So that's what we'll be dealing with here probably in the next hour or two. Again, a lot of this precipitation still pushing into that very dry air. So it might take another couple hours for it to saturate all the way down to the surface. So that's the latest. We'll keep you posted here at the TristateWx Weather Center. Thank you for